Hello! So the Black Square Baron is out for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I think a lot of people have been waiting for this aircraft to come out. We're going to take it for a quick test flight just to see how it works and to enjoy its systems a little bit. We are at Boonville in the US. We're going to fly over to Ukiah, so it's not a very long flight. It's just long enough to have a look at the airplane and let it stretch its legs a little bit. Okay, so from the outside it's going to look exactly the same as the stock Baron in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but as soon as we go inside you can see the insides have been ripped out and replaced with a very, very accurate set of instrumentation and levers and switches. This does simulate failures accurately. I'm not going to go on and on about it because, you know, there's lots of coverage of this aircraft elsewhere, but we're just going to go and fire it up and let you see it. So I'll just remove the yoke there. And let's go and put the power on. And we will put the beacon light on because we are going to start the engines. We'll check the fuel cocks, they're both on. Let's turn some lights on. It's very dull, isn't it? So we'll put the floodlights and the panel lights on so you can actually see the instruments now. So first things first, on a cold start we are going to go and move the mixtures up to rich. We're going to move the engines, the throttles to full throttle, and we're going to go and run the pumps for a few seconds, the fuel pumps on high. So just for a few seconds and then turn them back off again. So we're just charging the system with some fuel. Then we can pull the throttles back and crack them open, and then we are going to essentially start the engines at this point. So I'm just getting this in view so we can see the magneto, the propeller and the gauges, and we're going to turn the engine over. Engine is alive. And we'll just increase the throttle to take it up to 1000 RPM, and that's there, that's good. And we'll do the same with the left engine now. So crack the throttle open and then turn the magnetos around, hold it on start, and you can see the RPM coming up, and we're good. It's complaining at the moment the cowl flaps are open. That's absolutely normal. It's also complaining about the alternators, so we're going to turn them on now. That's all done. Okay, so now we have the engines up and running, and we're waiting basically for the oil temperatures to come up. You can see the right engine's been running a bit longer and the needle's almost in, well, it's in the green already, look, so it's coming up. So while that's happening, let's go and busy ourselves with switching on the avionics. Okay, so avionics master switch is here. You can see everything comes alive around the cockpit when you do that, including the weather radar, which does work, but hidden inside the weather radar, in common with the other Black Square aircraft, is the failure modelling, which is really quite spectacular in these aircraft, but I'm not going to get into it today. We don't want things to go wrong today. We're going to put the transponder on standby while we're sat here. We're just waiting for the GPSs to boot up. So we've got a Garmin 530 and 430. You can switch those out. Oh, it's a bit cold in the cockpit, isn't it? 7 degrees centigrade. So let's go and pull the pilot air out. Sorry, the pilot heating. And we might need to pull that one as well. And we'll let the heating system kick in and warm up our aeroplane, hopefully. See, we can switch on heating here as well. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So yeah, you can see the temperature coming up now. Okay, so let's go and capture the satellites on the GPSs, which have now booted up. So get temperatures up to 10 degrees, and the blue light should have extinguished, and it has. We're all looking good. Okay, let's just push that back in a bit. We don't need that quite so strong then. So we're not actually going to put a GPS route in today, we're just going to fly over to Ukiah, so we're going to go via a VOR. So we'll change the CDI mode immediately to VLOC on both systems, and we'll go and tune in that VOR. It's 112.30 for the Mendocino Ukiah Vortec station. So 11230, so 11230. And switch that to active. So nav 1 has come alive. Perfect. We want to fly into it on a 51-degree track, so let's go and turn our course to 51 in preparation for that. So there's 51 degrees or thereabouts. Okay, the distance measuring equipment is alive already, saying it's 5 miles away. We're going to fly a circuit here first anyway. We'll have a look at the altitude pre-selector as well, so we'll set that for 5,000 feet. Climbing at 1,000. I think it will reset anyway to the current climb rate when we arm it. That's interesting, look. So you can press arm while you're here. It's not going to do anything, obviously, because we're not in the air. Yeah, and I've zeroed out the climb rate. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that. Let's get in the air. So throttles to take off. Sorry, flaps to take off, I should say. Having problems talking today. We're almost on the runway already, so we'll go and put the beacon light on. Sorry, we've got the beacon light, strobe light on, nav light on, taxi light on, and we'll put the landing lights on. Okay, so we should be lit up like a Christmas tree. Shall we have a look from outside? We've also got the cowl flaps open on the engines, which is good. So, parking brake off. Ease those throttles forwards. Sit up in the cockpit. And we'll go and climb out and do a circuit around the airfield first. So we're just leaving Boonville. So I'm going to ease the throttles forwards, keeping an eye on the manifold pressure, watching the airspeed increase, begin rotating, and we're up. So let's have a look from the outside view, and gear up. So we can turn the taxi lights off if we can find the switch for it. It's that one, isn't it? Come off the throttle a little bit. Pull the RPM back a little bit. Turn the weather radar back on rather than looking at the failures on it, so it will start sweeping, and we should, if we got a bit higher, we'd start to see those clouds. Though I'm not sure there's actually any rain, it's just heavy cloud. So you can see there's Boonville that we've just left. I've got the turbulence set to realistic. So if you weren't aware, following Sim Update 12, turbulence will have been set to low in the realism settings of the simulator. So I've gone and set mine to realistic, so we're going to close the cowl flaps now. You can see this is a very fast aeroplane, so even with the engine wound back, it's still accelerating through 140 knots while still climbing at 500 feet a minute. So we're still under manual control at the moment. Let's pull the mixture back as we climb. So we're going to turn back around, fly over the top of Boonville. So all we're really doing is biding time until we're high enough to climb over the hills. Airfields over here. So we're just circling the valley basically. So let's move the heading bug around. And let's go and engage the autopilot now. So we should start climbing at 1,000, yeah, it's armed, look, 1,000 feet a minute to 5,000 feet, which it is doing. We are flying perpendicular to the course we eventually want to be on, so we could start turning. And we'll go for heading mode on the autopilot. We just coming round to the course now. So you can see that happening. So we're on an intercept, so if we go for nav mode on the autopilot, the aeroplane, yeah, the flight director's kicked in, look, it's putting us onto a stronger intercept course than we were on. We're 5 miles out from the VOR and we're climbing. Just coming up through 3,500. Should we increase the throttle slightly? We're getting a bit slow. Could increase the RPM. Flaps are up now. Had them almost wound all the way in anyway. So we're flying straight towards the Mendocino VOR now. 3 miles to go. We'll go back to heading mode. But we'll make it go the direction we're going. This plane is so quick. Even in this climb, it's accelerating out to 140 knots. Okay, so if we go and look on the failure screen, you can see engines are still in tip-top condition, which is good. You just need to be aware not to sit on full throttle all the time, basically. So we're going to come back off the throttles a bit now. We're just climbing up to, just coming up for 5,000 feet, so we're accelerating like crazy. Let's pull the RPM back. We can pull the mixture back even further. So you can play games with the engine monitor over there. We get a bit too hot in the cockpit now, so we're going to go and turn that heating system off. Okay, so we're right on top of the VOR. We've just passed over it. Okay, so it's now behind us. So we're showing the from indicator. So leaving the VOR, we want to be on a 24-degree track. But having said that, we're going to want to run in towards Ukiah, so it would be good if we do measure distance, if we carried on this kind of direction, so about 44 degrees. So if we change our course here to 44, we just need to straighten up a little bit, that's all. So we're already coming in over the valley and Ukiah is just over here. You might be able to see it already. Good job seeing it the way the weather is. Okay, let's come off of autopilot. That's right below the engine nacelle. Okay, so what we'll do is fly down and do a left circuit and come in at the far end. I don't think there's much wind today. Let's have a look. Oh, there is. 20 knots. Okay, we are on the right side of the airfield. So what we're going to do is turn right and circle as we descend. So I'm going to pull the throttle back and manage the descent. So we're going to come down. Just circle at the far end. Obviously, if you had ATC, they would give you vectors to, onto a path to descend before you go and then come in and rejoin the circuit. We are the only people up here today and we don't have ATC, so it's not so much of an issue. Nice to know. You still get the klaxon in the Baron. If you reduce the throttle too much without the gear down, you get quite a good klaxon sound. Okay, so there's the airfield. Still descending. Try to lose some speed as well. Fine at those sort of speeds. We are very high, but the flaps are out now and they are arresting our speed, so we can actually come in quite steeply in the Baron. That said, we are going to not let the engines go completely to idle. So the extra speed will scrub off when we start to pull out of our descent. The new turbulence is fantastic, has to be said. The airplane got caught then in kind of a pocket and was just trying to descend hard to the left, and I had to forcibly pull it back towards the runway. Okay, and we're down. So flaps can come up, taxi light can go, oops, that's the landing light, that's the taxi light. This is the problem of looking around for switches in a simulator when you're not entirely familiar with the aircraft. Oh, the sim has just frozen. Let's hope it releases again. I see this so regularly. I haven't actually seen it for a few days, but you can see it's just done it to me. And all of the, yeah, usually the controls will flick when it happens. They didn't that time. So you can see, because I've just reduced the engines to idle, the alternator lights have come on. It doesn't like being on idle. Just taxi in, from outside. So it's very, very similar to the Black Square Bonanza, and that's because the real aircraft is very, very similar. Let's just pull over here, out of the way, and roll to a stop. Parking brakes on. We can obviously pull the mixture completely back. We'll kill the engines, and then we can go and turn the alternators off. We can turn off the lights. And we can turn off the avionics and then the batteries, and we're good. It's interesting that this starts out with the engine fuel crossfeeds in the on position. I wouldn't have expected that, but and the same with the RPMs, I guess. I wouldn't have expected them to have been in those particular settings, but it's a fantastic airplane, it has to be said, so it's going to be great fun to go touring around with it. I think at the moment though I'll be flying the Antonov quite a lot, the Antonov AN2 that just came out, but this is another fantastic aircraft to add to the fleet. It's great that you can hear the heat going through the engines as they cool down. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So that was the Black Square Baron in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I will be flying it again soon. That was just a really quick first flight to have a look at it and to try some systems out. See you again soon.